I went to a technical school, like in high school.
So you used to weld and...
You know what I mean? Like fitting and tailoring.
So it was either this or politics.
Ngifuna uku-actor.
Ngifuna ukuba
thespian.
It was a mess.
Ngifuna ukuba uJack Mabaso. Ngifuna ukuba
Origin
ngeglove la.
Adidabukile. Omunye wani uphumile la. We love playing with other actors. That's the backbone of sketch. Masithi siya sketcher, that's what we grew up on, you know. The Pure Monatis, the Bantu Hours, the LNNs. We grew up watching people sketch but play together as a unit. So, but a verbal fight, I will engage. I'll engage a verbal fight any day, yes.
Okay.
Because
verbal
you can
fight?
project.
Yeah. Excuse me? No. No, ma'am. Don't say that. Don't do that. No. This is South Africa.
Robo Pops, I'll be my cheese girl and my cheese boy there. We motivate, then we laugh as well. Stay on brand, never hard to sell. Got real chats, now my LOL. So we both got gang and we blessed as hell. Siyadlala story, petting on my guest and nice and more. You and my bundles, not of joy. Said it's some pop pops and robot boys. Popcorn and cheese. Yeah? Popcorn and cheese. Popcorn and cheese. Popcorn and cheese. Call it boy like friends like these. Popcorn and cheese. Popcorn and cheese. Popcorn and cheese. Call it like friends like these.
Hey. You know when your friend says, come in, the dog doesn't bite. And now your pants.
Now your jeans are like, you know, Charles, when you ran out of doom, you have your hands to kill the mosquitoes.
Hey, those jeans look depressed.
Jean de Carnal double exhaust.
They were once blue. No, but big shout out to the new intern, man. Shout out, man.
Yeah, shout out, man.
Lita.
Yeah. And he was in early. That's why the pants. He had to jump over the electric fence.
It's his previous life. You see, you are changing lives here in Popcorn and Cheese. Former criminal, now intern.
From Jean to Bogatti to the studios here that are beyond the eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beyond the Eyes Studios, right here in the heart of Centurion, where the economy is kept. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to the phenomenal people that make up this duo, or this trio, as they call it. Barry, it's popcorn and cheese. Otherwise, without the and, it would just be popcorn cheese. So I want to introduce the end, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Leboa Khomu, straight to Walkerville and to Centurion. Please put your sanitized hands together. Make some noise for the one and only Tsitsi Chumeric, the Barbarian. And a man who's here with us today because his father wrote a sonnet for his mother. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great honor and pleasure to introduce another person from the South, all the way from the south of Johannesburg, Moshapeleng Motsogo, the cousin of Optimus Prime, Robot Boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, and the captain himself who steers the ship, who is the leadership with the white hoodie that is not white hoodie from Hacked, but he is not hacked because he's always laughing and smiling. Ladies and gentlemen, head boy of the Yellow Bones with the haircut, Yagalundi, Mpo Pops, Morikwane.
Hola, hola! Cheese boys, cheese girls, cheese gang. What a time to be a South African, man.
Yo.
We just celebrated the biggest podcast in Africa. Sold out Sunbet Arena. Has over 8,000 people in an arena to watch a live podcast. Biggest live broadcast of a podcast in the world.
Black excellence.
Black excellence.
Yeah. World record breaking.
Vendor excellence.
Facts.
Barmini excellence.
Facts.
Solis Tonga excellence.
What is soul, actually?
What is soul?
Well, what is Saul?
I think it's just dark skin.
Ghosty, what is Saul?
Oh,
Mkosa.
Mkosa.
Saul Mkosa. Eliadika, cho.
Jonga. Yes, and of course, no ghost lady, Ndebele excellence. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So in talking about black excellence and celebrating what a time to be alive as a South African today in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Wabona, we've been breaking records on our podcast. Manje, we are breaking records on our movie.
Ngama Netflix.
They say the bar has been set. This movie has created its own bar. Sitting with us today, ladies and gentlemen, are the lead stars, the starring and the villain of the movie, Big Nunu's Little Heist. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. Give it up for the one and only Tony. And Jeff!
Big deals.
AKA Puntsu Nunu and Service Delivery.
Ask his girlfriend.
Yo, man. Guys, if you haven't watched Big Puntsu Nunu's Little Heist, Big Nunu's Little Heist, it's on Netflix. Go watch it now. Pause this thing now. Go watch it. Then
maybe
come back
after
in the
this.
interview.
But okay, actually, yeah, you're right. They must pause it, ne?
Ne?
And go watch it so that they can relate.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Gentlemen, to the cheese gang out there that don't know who you are, they're probably wondering, who is this handsome, short man and the scarecrow sitting next to him?
Bakazibona idelela ye-courtroom. All shades of brown.
Oh, he caught Roy.
Hey.
Mina ngithi nama stretch marks.
All shades of brown.
And it's suede on top of them. Yes. Itelela maktelela.
Don't tell her the telela. It's
Don't tell her that.
don't tell her the telela.
So we'll start with you, Malume Tony. Please tell the cheese gang who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah. I'm Tony
yeah.
Nyambo. Ngiphume Tembisa.
You.
And I'm a storyteller.
That's how Tembisi.
Miyambo.
Yeah,
Tembisa.
yeah. That's where I grew up. That's where I applied my trade. Early up in drama groups in Kempton Park.
Don't do this. No ways.
Before skipping over to Joburg and studying drama at Wits. That's where I met this crazy guy. And now I tell stories for a living. That's what I do.
Oh, that is beautiful. Master Chef. Jefferson.
Otherwise,
On says ye.
man, J-Bobs, Sketcher, Player, Delela Maker. But yeah, man, like I think I copy Mr. Miyambo here, just a storyteller, man, in all different forms. But I'm a guy who's interested like in South African stories in particular. That's the vibe.
Big church.
That's the vibe.
You know what I hate? When people come here and they're humble. This guy's done amazing things. Tell us. So,
How?
It's just Delela Maker. That's time you're playing a shake.
If we have to list all those things, it will be here for the whole day.
Come on. There we go. There we go.
Just Google just say Tony Miyambo, Jefferson Chabalala. You can read about us. We tell stories in theater, in film, in television. That's what we've done for the last decade now, I think.
So this is absolutely right. These two oaks are legends. You know, these are the masters of their craft. Do you know what I mean? You're looking at two Mr. Miyagi's here. You are looking at two Mr. Miyagi's here, and it's so beautiful for us to watch this movie, especially people whose lives you've affected, that you've touched, right?
Impacted, yeah.
Yeah, bro. Because I come from the school of Jeff.
yes.
You know what I mean? Titi comes from the school of Jeff. I can list a bunch of comedians from Robbie Collins to the Simi Aref to Mojack to Tolas Mo. We went to Master Jeff back in the day and we're like, yo, we're funny, but how do we take it to the next level? You know what I mean? And we're here today as a result
Of Jeff.
of the masterclass of Jeff.
Yeah.
Ankaya maskabara cha.
Hallelujah!
Press something.
Jesus.
Press something.
And
Since you're told
Jeff
us
is
season
tough.
two,
It's tough on you.
Hey, Jeff.
It's like he doesn't care about you, but he wants to teach you. Imagine.
Hey.
I saw Jeff's toughness at the Summers when we were hosting there. He didn't want, the change room already. There was an extra person trying to bring in food. Hey, what are you doing here? I said,
So I want to know what it feels like for because you guys are, like I said, you are both Mr. Miyagi's. You are performance coaches. You are storytellers. You know, you're the master. How does it feel for the master to be the steering?
To be in front of the camera.
To be in front of the camera. How does it feel being the steering, Malumetu?
I hated being in front of the camera, man.
Really?
Yeah, because there's a kind of pressure that you guys have that's got to do with the way people see you and the way people expect to see you.
Yeah.
That we always work behind the scenes to kind of think about how to make you the best versions of yourselves. And so so I'm used to theater, you know, that's what I do. I've been traveling the world with one particular show. And getting used to that kind of performance style and that kind of life, in many ways was a safety and a sanctuary for me, because often we like to retreat to the things that we know, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
All of a sudden I was walking in Parkhurst and I ran into Andy, the director, and Robbie, and they were having lunch and we had a conversation. And then I was invited to an audition, and now all of a sudden I'm a villain to a film. And then I walk into a room,
biggest villain.
and Jeff is sitting across there, and Jeff is the hero. And I remember the day we both found out we were in the same film. We looked at each other, and then we went to Melville, sat down across the table to do some work, and we were like, we can't be man. You know, sorry. We can't be poop. But yeah, it was very weird for me being in front of the camera, because that's not where I usually feel comfortable. But the style and the comedy of the film allowed us to play in ways that then took the cameras away.
Yeah.
And it was just about the people that you were playing alongside. And it was a pleasure to play with Jeff, because we've been doing that for many years in live shows. So it was just about how do we take that and translate it onto screen.
So you guys have coffee in Melville? You're lying to us. Coffee in Melville.
You did not hear him say the masters of our craft. he had coffee, I had tea. No, in fact, he had a hot chocolate and I had tea.
Yeah, man.
Hot chocolate lover.
Hot chocolate. Tell us. We can see the hot chocolate inspired outfit.
I hot caramel.
Yes.
Look, man, I mean, it's very flattering and very humbling to hear like master references, you know, because you devote your time and your life to this thing that you do, like studying it, knowing it well, seeing what other people are doing. And I think for me, this experience was mostly about, when do you also become the student? Right? Like, so like in your arsenal and in your toolkit and the things that you know, when do you go, look, I might have reached X level here, but when do I refuel my tank by becoming a novice again? How do I say, I haven't done that. I haven't learned from that space. So let me go be a rookie, you know? Let me go, hey, Lita. Let me go be a Lita somewhere, you know? And like be where everyone around me has done more of this than I ever have. Because then I walk into a room where there's multiple Mr. Miyagi's around me. And I can be a student again. I can be fresh again. I can go, oh, today was tough. This is what I'm gonna do to prep for tomorrow. Because if you're always in the room where you're the peak, you know what I mean? You're kind of getting redundant. So this for me also felt like, oh, I could do it like that. Oh, that's how I could cheat it next time. And then I felt like so fresh to attack it. And doing so with,
Tony Montwan. Say hello to my little friend.
Hey, I mean, like this guy, man, a masterclass, you know? Like a masterclass. Like, I've had the privilege of knowing and working with this man like for over a decade, like he was saying. And each day, I'm like, oh, we can go somewhere else.
Yes.
Oh, there's another level.
Yes.
Wait a minute, there's a new gear.
And that's what you guys were doing in this film, right? And I feel like you guys probably sat together when you were having the hot chocolate and the coffee and the tea. You know, when you were having that joko, you were like, Jeff, siyabangena lana ntwana. I want to know where did you birth Putsu Nunu's character and voice?
It was very funny because in the audition process, when I went to audition for the film, I realized, I think there was one other guy ahead of me. And I remember sitting outside and listening to this guy going. and he was playing very much the traditional kind of gangster. And I'm sitting there.
How do I plot twist this?
I'm sitting
Was
there.
he doing it to himself?
No,
He was auditioning.
He robbed the director, everyone. Hey, let your phone when Andy. Hey, Andy, let your phone. Did you believe it? Did you like it?
You know.
I mean, you took my phone, so I did.
Make it real. Make it real.
Yeah, so I'd had a particularly soft afternoon. I'd taken a walk.
Oh, no.
In Park Town.
Come on.
I'd gone to go do my feet. So I was feeling particularly soft.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay. And I remember hearing this guy going, I remember going, hey, I'm not this kind of gangster, and I can't play this kind of gangster. Yeah. So in the audition, I played him softer, but not as soft as he is in the film. So it was more thoughtful. Like, hey, when, you know. And Andy found something interesting.
Like that was the audition.
And then Andy found that interesting, and he gave it a chance. And I remember we went to go read the film, and Nunu was he was not funny at all in the reading. Mm-hmm. You were there. Yeah. The funniest person was Notch, Isaac. You know? And that's the day when me and Jeff went to go sit. And I remember sitting across Jeff and hearing how Jeff speaks is like Luther Vandross. Is like, oh my God, Silky Soft. He's gonna make such a he's gonna make such a cool hero. And then I worked with Jeff, and then I worked with a lady called Kucha Green, who's also a performance coach. And we found his body type and the way he moves in that session. And then I arrived on Monday. They set up for the first shot, which is the opening shot of Nunu in the film. And then it's an expensive shot. It's like tracking, there's CGI, and there's smoke going. And I remember looking at all of these guys, looking at my goons going, actually, I don't need to be tough. Because the toughness is all around you. I've got a bodyguard. I've got all sorts of guys protecting me, and the film is in a tough place. So how do you contrast that with something performatively that sits in a particular way? Calls action. The first take goes. The track comes down the line. He comes in. He raises his head. He goes, "Why?"
Which one is this one?
And then you just see people on the sides, the crew, tackling themselves and almost peeing. And then Andy's not sure. He comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, Joe, is that him?" I was like, "Yeah, I think it's him." And he goes, Okay. We'll go for a second take. Yeah. And it goes even more. Why? And really,
what's that thing?
Yeah, and kind of, and that's kind of when I realized that there's something to play with. But he really kind of vocally arrived on the first day on set. He wasn't planned. I didn't plan to go that far, but all the time I was kind of thinking of all the given circumstances of the given world that we were playing in and the contrasts. And I was like, okay, Jeff, he speaks this certain way. We've got guys that look a certain way. How do you then create something that is interesting? And I think the comedy allows you to explore that in that way. And it was just a pleasure that I was with a group of people that allowed me to explore in that way, yeah.
That's crazy, man. And I just wanted to ask, just to tie into both of your guys' conversations now, when you mention things like how the person walks and like movements as far as the character goes, and Jeff speaking about being in a room where there's other Mr. Miyagis, was there, because you guys are so behind the scenes and you guys have always lived your lives coaching other people, was there a moment where now you felt like some of the advice you gave to other people has helped you?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, every time when you're trying to counsel someone.
After all those years of Jeff teaching, Andy, look, he put it on himself.
Doc, are you okay?
Sorry.
So like, I mean, as Titi has just done, you sip and you move, man. Like, and like what you really do is you try to go, if I'm going to give Tony this note, is that a note that would land if I was receiving it? If I'm gonna give Paul this note, how would I hear it? From what perspective? And then you go, like when Tony says, "Oh, he had an acting coach." He himself is an acting coach. But like when you're about to enter into something new, when you're the one doing the thing, you also need counsel. You know, you need your blind spots to be checked.
Hey, some people need to hear this one.
So yeah, man,
Which people? Yeah, Robert. Which people?
No, it's advice that a lot of people don't take as far as the
Which
world
people
is
would it help?
Because you're a producer, you don't want to hear from other producers. Because you're a vocalist, don't want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Because you're a rapper, I don't want to hear from other rappers.
Things of that nature.
Things of that nature.
Who so?
I mean, ours is the only craft where you're always perpetually learning, you know? People think that, you can just enter into the industry and just be. It looks easy from the outside, but this is the only job that I know of, where you constantly need to be shifting and molding and learning all the time because audiences are changing, tastes are developing, genres are evolving. So we need to involve with that performatively as well. So it's for me, it's always a pleasure to be able to take in something new.
Speaking of taking something new, we need a new logo. Ladies and gentlemen, here at Beyond the Eye, as you can see, things are not as 100% pop-ups.
Taking in something new is all about replacing something old. As you know, our logo is very old, as Malume Tony just knocked it down. So if you're an aspiring graphic designer, logo maker, we have some people who've sent us some submissions. Please send us some more submissions. You can send it to myself, you can send it to Robot Boy, you can send them to Tsitsi. What we're going to do is we're going to put all the logos up on the wall behind. We're going to put all the logos up there. And then, the Cheese Gang will let us know which one speaks to them more. Because here, we are Beyond the Eyes. Beyond the Eye Studios. Proudly brought to you by Popcorn and Cheese.
Today on this episode, the highest words have been used. Perpetual.
Oh, you guys taught the wrong guy a word.
Today
We're not going to hear the end of it now.
Titi learned the word epitome, ne? And then the next episode, he used it, we counted 17 times.
Oh, what?
You know, Robert Boy is the epitome of talent. I love how his dance moves epitomize movement.
I was epitomizing the word.
It's a pity.
So, Malume Tony, perpetually speaking.
Not to be bombastic, but Jeff,
no one used the word bombastic.
I'm using big words, my brother.
Bombastic means big. It's not a big word.
Which one is this one?
Bombastic means what?
Big.
Oh.
The word means big. It's not a big word. Oh, that's funny. Yo.
Okay.
Yo, man, I want to know where it all began, gents, because today we're sitting here, you guys, I feel like you're up there now with the David Gennaros of the world.
Yes.
You're
iconic characters.
You are part and parcel of forming the most iconic characters to ever come out of SA, We've had the David Gennaros, the Georgie Zamdelas. Now we are in the era of
Naomi. From the Rhythm City. Now, Naomi.
Naomi.
Yeah. Mushidi's character. Naomi, ne?
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Beyond the Eye, we see beyond the eye. Sometimes we cannot hear what is beyond your eye, but at least with the translation of Mpopops, he can help us dissect what Tsitsi was trying to say.
Sometimes things get uncomfortable in the studio, but most of the times we're very comfortable thanks to 2050 event suppliers. They supply us with this beautiful furniture that we get to sit on here. You see this beautiful couch that was meant to be for Abuti Lolo when he came to visit us?
Which one is this one? Now it is accommodating two of our brilliant guests here today at Popcorn and Cheese.
Yes. So I want to know from our comfortable guests, gentlemen, where did it all begin? Jeff, you are not from Johannesburg,
EC, baby.
Eastern Cape,
man.
Jonga, man. Where did it all begin, chap?
Look, man, I went to a technical school. like in high school.
So you used to weld and...
You know what I mean? Like fitting and tailoring.
So it was either this or politics.
We almost saw... we would have seen... Jeff would have been the one bringing up the CIC.
But the theater of that moment. Also.
Right? That was a beautiful
Politics
moment.
can be theater. Too.
Yeah, Jeff, yeah, no.
You are speaking about your rise.
Your rise. From the stage, yes.
Look, man, the Eastern Cape is a place where there's immense talent. I mean, we will allow people from Lubuahomo to make jokes about us because, some things we must let pass.
No lawyer. Like especially when we feel disrespected.
J is too big.
You epitomize Boloi.
Perpetually.
Which one is this one?
Bombastically so.
And we're predominantly known like for Afro pop singers, you know, like but like there's a great talented musicians, great, fantastic, talented musicians, but also amazing actors. Yeah, really amazing actors. I mean, like the legends of the theater, like from the early 70s, like Otato John Kani, Winston John. They're from the place where I'm from, you know, and the community performance regions, they are very, very strong, you know. So like I always attended like any other high school kids where the kids are rapping, where the kids are doing poems, and you realize that like, man, we watch these things on TV, but when we do them locally, there's like a different spin to this thing.
There's a flavor.
There's a different flavor to this thing, you know? Like,
different
come on, we read. and for me, that's where it began. Like having fun and banter with peers and mates and just going like, you know what? At some point, you gotta go like, we're all doing this thing, but no, man. There's an edge nyana here. Like you wanna be humble, but you also wanna go, hi man. There's a small finesse that I can kick just above everybody else here. There's a thing that I'm better at. And then when you realize that like you're getting better and better the more you do it, then you start checking who else is doing it at the level that I'm doing it at. And how else can I take it further? And where else can it be a career? You know, and step to step, I bump into this guy at WITS a few years later. Because I go, I'm going to apply for like a drama degree and I'm going to try to learn how to...
Take it further.
Yeah, how do I become like strategically, practically and educationally dope at this thing?
Ooh.
How do I make it such that like I'm not just fluking it and I can repeat it every single time? And part of study was about that.
Yeah.
And how does mom and dad and everyone in your lives react, gents? When you go,
actor.
ngifuna ukuba
It
thespian.
was a mess.
Ngifuna
I mean,
check my house.
the
Ungene
origin,
endlini ngeglove la.
Anidabukile. Omunye wani uphumile la. September.
Which one is this one?
the origin story is not as deep as Jeff. I got into drama at high school because
Which one is this one?
This is the weirdest.
Sendlini breakfast like I. Cela ubholela macala.
You look like a chief mourner. You're about to faint right now.
Sorry, my dog, you were
no,
saying.
it's okay, man. It's
Yeah, yes.
No, I mean, I was chronically horrible at sport. I tried out for all of the sports teams.
I mean, that's it.
Oh, Utin, so unfair. It's my moment, man.
Maybe short put or something.
Which one is this one?
Nothing worked. I managed to
And you
get
tried all of them.
Yeah,
Soccer,
I was
rugby.
wrong. I was Joe. I was the
Athletics.
best goalkeeper in primary. Now, high and about dog.
You just stood in the middle of the
Hey,
pool.
dog. Abo dog, won't shoot guys. I was like, but hit anyway here. I'll catch that ball. Nah. Didn't happen. Not okay, but okay, cricket. Not a cricket, but you can be a cricket scorer.
Not even wicket keeper.
Only nama wicket.
But a cricket scorer. Not athletics. Meow. Short feet. So I couldn't get into any of the sports clubs. And then one day, ngahlangana ne-drama club lapha, and then ngangena, and then I was actually good at it. So it was a fluke. And then when I left high school, I went to study IT. Yeah, I meandered. Ngaya shy meanders nje for
So I'm
2 years. Yeah, and yeah, and then we were working at Wits. 2 years later, my dad had just died, and my dad was always like, "I'll get you money to go study drama, but for now, go
secure
do a thing that will,
secure, yeah.
And so he was gone.
Condolences to you for your pops.
Yeah, I mean, he was. Yeah, it's one of the things that I feel bad about, that he never got to watch me do what I do. But
Oh, he's watching you.
But
what
yeah,
you do, and he's proud, man.
yeah, so when I was at Wits, I decided to go to check out the drama department, and luckily enough, that was the last day of applications. I applied. I auditioned the following day, and they were like, "You're in, and your first class is Lala Koneni." And I rocked up there in a kick and boboza and in chino
Yes.
for a movement class. I didn't even know what movement was. All of a sudden, I was like, I'm a drama student. My mom, my mom, it was tough on my mom, because you went from a guy who was earning a stipend, bringing a little bit of money, promising future in computers, to wanting to do e-getch, and she didn't get it. And it was difficult for between us for a number of years. And also, she had no money. She was a single mother. So at some point, I had to move to Wits and squat at school, because I had no place to live.
Yeah.
So I'd shower in the gym, and then I'd sleep in the drama classes or in the theater, wherever I could. So I had to do that for a year, because I had to believe in this. It was the only thing that made sense to me, right? And so it was tough, but having my mom at the premiere of the film, and for her to
Goosebumps.
to see the thing, and then to see the people talking to the thing, it's like that for me was a full circle moment, where I was like, I don't have to try to prove that this thing that I'm doing is of value anymore. She's accepted it a long time ago, of course, but for her to see it on a big screen, to see it on that stage, to see it on Netflix, it's not a thing I can ever have the words to describe.
One thing about the both of you is that you guys are real connoisseurs of your art.
Which one is this one?
The real Courvoisier saying. Parle majwana. You are the real Courvoisiers of.
No, like,
What's it that coleslaw and then? What's going on?
okay, so I can't be serious.
Okay, it was Pops. Me, I tried.
Okay,
It was Pops. Okay.
Yes.
Tony's wearing, is that glasses? Oh,
What?
is that prescription?
No, I've got a
surgery.
Which one is this one?
I just had a cornea transplant in my, my left eye.
Okay,
so,
sharp. Okay.
Yeah, so don't make jokes about that.
Please. This is Sakten. Behave. Botin.
And see.
Put Nunu coach.
Hey, put it in the country.
Yeah, what you said was-
I've never seen City that serious. Yo.
Yeah. Okay.
Uthini ngelihlo lapho? Uthini ngelihlo lapho?
Putin ngelihlo laka Putin.
Ngiyalibona.
Sure.
What I'm saying is that for the both of you, when you guys work, like, you're so serious, and you're real connoisseurs of your art. Like, you will go out, like Jeff would come to our shows, and you'd ask real questions about, like, what's your intention about this? What are you doing? And it's such an interesting thing. You're involved in everything. Like, also, Tony, I met up with a bunch of your writing interns a couple of weeks ago, and the way they speak about you, they're like, yo, Tony's always involved. He always cares about what we're doing. And coming into that, did you take that same principle, that same work ethic into the film? And how did that translate between the crew members? Because I'm sure there were some people that thought this is a good time. And then you guys were like, hey,
No, actually, we were the good time on set. Storytelling is a collective effort. You can't tell stories. Like even now, we're telling a story on a podcast, but everybody is involved in some way. So it's about opening up that space to create the game to play. The fun thing between me and Jeff on set was we always created games between us. Yes. We had songs, we had ways to get the crew, because it's a tough job. You're shooting in very harsh circumstances, sometimes very late into the night. People get groggy, people get tired. But it's about how do you maintain the energy? How do you keep the flow? And Jeff and I were there for each other, each and every shot. You know, so even if the camera's not on
for
you,
all of us, that's very important. The working environment,
man, it's crucial. It's crucial.
So we created the games between us that brought people in. We had songs where the crew was also singing and dancing as they were moving. So that's the thing we did, and we're good at that. We're good at creating the game to play, and the commitment to play is not a serious thing. It's not shut up, I'm acting. You know, you don't do that. You bring people in. And you implicate people in creating the opportunity for the shot to happen, for the acting to happen. If you don't do that, then you make the experience about you, and nobody wants that.
And the involved stuff is kind of like backlog stuff, you know? Like Tony goes, he works his voice, he works his coach, he talks about his body. I was working with Chris Juma, I was working with Philip Dukotla. Those were my performance coaches and Simpo Matendra. And they were helping me to figure out where this character's at, right? And the reason I'm going to my coaches and doing that work and learning the script and doing my translations and getting my tone right, the reason he's doing that is so that by the time you get to the set, it's a vibe. It's a jam. So it's only horrible when you're on set trying to jam, when you haven't done the work to earn you the jamming time.
Not prepared.
So you do all the difficult work so that the work can be just fun. So that the work can be really, you're just listening, you're watching, you're responding to what this actor's doing, because you are not anxious about what your next line is. You're not...
This reminds me of band practice, when I used to teach the drummers at the youth. So as a drummer, if you don't learn the song, you're not going to be confident with the next note. And the last thing you want to do is make a loud mistake. So when they kept playing, I could hear the softer they go, it's because they don't know if it's at the bridge or the chorus. And I'd always know that you didn't learn the song.
Exactly.
If you know the song, you'll play with full confidence. That's dope. That's crazy.
And also, if there is a loud mistake that happens, when you're super prepared, we all go, oh, that's where you're at? And someone covers for you. Or someone picks you up. Because everyone is that ready, and they get that you didn't flop because you were not ready. Maybe something happened. Maybe a small moment of distraction. But if there's 2, 3, 4, 5 people who are not ready, then the set is disruptive. Then the things are not
No one can cover you from the set.
No one can cover you.
Crazy.
But then how do you get out of that mentality? Because a lot of art, if you have any game for the cheese gang out there, how do you get out of that mentality? Because a lot of people think art is very personal, very selfish. How do you get out of the mentality of learning how to create with others?
Well, you can't tell what you don't know, right? So the impulse of saying art is from a personal place is true to some aspect, but the making is communal. And those are the two things that you need to balance. Is that how do I allow the personal thing that I've been manifesting and nurturing for all of these years to play alongside other people's truths, other people's personal. And that's about listening. That's been about being able to play. That's been about being humble enough to share space with other actors. We love playing with other actors. That's the backbone of sketch. Masitisi sketch. That's what we grew up on, The Pure Monatis, the Bantu Hours, the LNNs. We grew up watching people sketch but play together as a unit. So that's a thing we've always treasured, And for me to walk into a room and to see Jeff, I knew it was if anything, the one thing we'll have here is play.
That's so beautiful. Class is in session today. Cheese gang. Bro, proper. So I want to know, this one, without a shadow of a doubt, is the big one, right? This is for me to see your parents at the premiere.
Yeah, man.
Jefferson.
Yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean?
Yeah, man.
So it goes without saying that this is probably the biggest thing, one of the biggest things you've ever worked on. So I want to know what's the worst jobs you guys have ever had? You know, we are on a high here. We're talking Netflix, starings and villains. But what the Cheese Gang don't know is you had to kiss a few frogs along the way.
Yeah.
What were some of those frogs?
We've kissed some frogs together.
Some toads.
None of them turned to princes or princesses.
Should I go first?
Please, my brother, because hey.
My first job out of varsity was a multivitamin brand, and they were
Were you the vitamin?
It gets worse. It gets worse. And so I had to be. So they were doing a roadshow that they were taking to schools. It was actually a joint brand. So it was a tea brand and a multivitamin brand, and I had to be in a industrial theater piece where I played a little boy, and then I played a rhino. So I'd play in the same piece. So Bagani namhlanje kumnandi sonke masifuna ukuba healthy since I saw. And then I ran to the back of something similar to this, and then I wear like a hot rhino soon, right? And I come out as the rhino and I dance, right?
Which is this one? Monologue.
Chief, 200 kids in grade 3. The minute they see a costume character, Rhino! Rhino! I was mauled a few times. And then you have to pack up the set, pack up the costume, get in a bakkie, and drive yourself to the next school. Because we're doing 3 schools in a day.
The activation. Your wildlife.
Yeah.
To boat you.
Which one is this one?
So that job, by far, I was grateful for the work, but it's like
Tony's wildlife experience.
Yeah, the environment, and also like kids and costume characters, man, they lose their minds. It's like, and I had no security. I didn't have like bouncers to check kids. Whoa, you know, I didn't have that. Next, and I had to sometimes leave in the rhino costume because you can't also destroy kids' hearts, right? You can't dance and stage a performance of your life and then take off the rhino's head.
So you get in the bakkie with the rhino thing.
And then but it was weird. It was schizophrenic because one moment I was the little boy, the other moment I was the rhino, and the next moment I'm running from my life as the rhino from 200 kids who just want to hug you, but all at the same time.
Yeah, they're just trying to show love.
Yeah.
That's so crazy how even through all of that, you know, and it says a lot about you as a person. You're still so considerate.
Stayed in character.
Yeah, about the fact that imagine so shinchile and then you're walking to the bakkie, another kid who won't kind of
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So shout out to you for that. That's so crazy.
That's great. Have you ever been in a roadblock with the rhino?
We are Kruger National Park. Which one is this one?
I'm endangered by one cheese.
Don't look at my horn.
Jefferson Shabalala.
Oh, man.
My broski, it's so bad. I envy this job.
You envy the schoolboy and rhino.
Yeah, man. I've done horrible work. And I mean that like in the sense that yo, I'm getting traumatic flashbacks.
No ways.
Like, man, like you know when you're a performer, you hear things like, you know, there are no small parts, just small actors. You know, so
That's how they sell you poverty.
my man.
Yeah.
Poverty is in the
That's what
mind.
they say to you when you're background.
I'm hungry, yo. Poverty's in the mind.
Yeah,
Poverty's
yeah,
in my face.
So with some of these industrial theater things, you'll find that like corporates will bring you in as part of like a change management strategy.
Yeah.
You know, so like maybe there's like a very big contention at that office and they make you now play
contention,
something.
Tsitsi.
You know, it's come through with it, my brother. We're having bombastic contentions here.
Contention.
I once worked in an industrial theater thing for people who were getting fired. Everyone was getting fired. And we were enacting how the room where they were going to get fired was going to be like.
Yeah.
What?
So everybody's here at Popcorn and Cheese, and we want to let this person know that we found a new ghost boy.
Why does everyone always come for me?
No, it's an example. It's an example.
The example's always me.
Because it will always be an example. It will never happen, my brother.
I think Ghost told them something. He told the guest, if you're funny enough.
After Sunbet, okay, we've reached the million and we've broken the record. Something else needs to break here.
So
Jeff, no
And then we have to be in a scene where I go, hey man, you know, in the last episode, I tried to incorporate epitome. The team didn't like that. So I'm wondering, what's my next thing? And the guy tells me, no, it means you're fired. And then I have to say, oh, okay, what are the steps after this? And then after the scene, I must now talk to the guy.
So now you break the fourth wall. So now we are no longer in scene, it's you guys.
I am talking to the guy directly.
So you took off the rhino mask.
I had to take off the rhino as part of my job description. And after taking off the rhino and telling the person, you're realizing like this is like this mother, 3 kids, you're telling her no more income after today.
In a play.
In a play. And then after that, I must go into a transition and get into a musical number.
This company's
You still have to end with the musical.
Man, it must be great, and I must get her to clap along. Come on. Let's go.
Pack your bags and go.
So
No
like,
ways.
That must be mentally... Yeah.
that was the first time I learned about yes and no to jobs. That was the first time I
You used
learned.
to take anything,
Yeah,
basically.
because I'm taking a job because like I'm a performer.
Spanish
you know?
choppy chop.
Choppy job, I'm a performer, I can do that. And I realized that like what I'm good at can also be weaponized. You know, it's not always that like, it doesn't mean when I'm doing it for a bad thing, it's not a tool still. The tool will always be good. I can use it for good or I can use it for... And for that kind of work, I was
Big
like,
bars.
nah, man, these people are not... These people are not... It could have been done in a way that was like still kind to those people. And it could have been done in a way where we were not the scapegoats for the seniors who didn't want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Literally.
I love what you just touched on now about the thing,
Your tool and the talent.
our craft being used as a weapon, weaponizing our craft, right? And I think about like in comedy, my rule is always if you're going to make fun of someone, you need to do it in such a way that that person finds it funny. Otherwise, you're insulting that person. And that way you're weaponizing your talent to make someone feel bad. So here's what I want to know. And this speaks to your craft and our audience, right? South African audiences sometimes hang on to a character that you play, right?
Archie Moroka.
No, and it's happened over the years, right? Where you look at what happened with Jason and Senzo. Jason and Senzo came out with
We just this one.
Promoting. Roboto. Robot Wenza.
doesn't like this colorful conversation.
You know, so you have Jason and Senzo, right? You have there was Ntsiki. Ntsiki got slapped in the middle of Rosebank because she played such a good villain, right? When do you feel like South African audiences are going to get to a point where they're able to separate characters
from the actual person.
from television, from movies, from soapies, from the actual person? And I'll tell you why I bring that up as well.
Yeah.
Is because, you know, we've got Big Nunu's little heist, but we also did a film called Rosa. And in Rosa, I play Pastor Peter.
Hey.
And Pastor Peter is the leader of, what do you call them?
Fornication.
No.
Adultery.
He's a false prophet.
Kuluma baguzo.
And I was playing the role of a false prophet, right? Because false prophets always have the weirdest things that they do with their churches. It's either about LIBing or it's about doom or snakes or whatever.
Right.
So I played this false prophet. And that was the character I played.
Right.
Now, we are very staunch Christians.
Right.
And I'm sitting with Robot Boy. I'm sitting with my wife in the theater. After the scene, they look at me, they go,
They want to pray for you then and there.
Then and there.
But
Because
it's also because you're handling the tools, man. You're blessing people with the tools.
It was Pastor Peter.
Yeah.
I was sitting with my mom, but I still looked over to my mom and said, "Don't worry, mom, I'm not in this one, okay?"
the first person she sees is you.
My mom was like, "Thank him, Dana." I was like, "Not in this one."
Why do South African audiences have trouble separating the character from the person?
I mean, like, we're a very, like, kind of conservative people, you know?
Yeah.
But we're a wild people.
We're the most conservative people in the world, but we're the wildest bunch of humans on the planet.
And I think also, like, economically speaking, like, people spend... TV shows in South Africa are family time. For the most part, like, we got acquainted with these characters around the dinner table or around supper. And that's the only time where, like, mom is here, aunties are here, the kids are here. So whoever you are playing, that's what we know you as the family. And when we grow up as that, that's what you are. But we did that even to international movies, you know? Fandam kuzo zonke.
Even the song. It's kind of artist. So like 20 years later.
If Eleya Fandam, you know, or and that's what you end up knowing the person as. And I think the more South Africans go, I watch this channel and I watch that channel. And the more we have, on this station, I saw this actor playing this. On that one, I was exposed to the same actor playing this.
Yes.
And people are beginning to have compliments like, yo, he kills all his roles.
Yes.
So that's a palette that's beginning to... Whereas before, we had someone playing like same character 15 years.
Yes.
So obviously we're going to have that attachment to that person because we watch them grow in the same way. But now you got young, fresh actors who come into the game. They're in this show for 2 years. They do that show for a few months. They do a cameo in the other one. They've got an ad here. So you're seeing this person in multiple things. Then you're beginning to go, aye, man, this guy is good. He was the executive in this one, but he's the downtrodden person in this one. Here he's like the athlete. Oh, okay, I see that this is a craft. And this is one of the people who are good at it. And slowly we're beginning to let it go.
Because even the examples Pops made, it's all generations. Yes, but you get what I'm saying? Because, like,
That was a nice carao.
internationally, like, like internationally, they've been doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like switching roles in a short space of time.
Yeah.
But the longer they stay in that character, the longer we have them in that mindset.
Yeah, you think the volume, like in terms of like pushing out more things that allow people to, you know, play, I guess, and then we see that this person has a wider range of characters, not just one. Because even Van Damme, the first time you saw him, Van Damme, then after a while you're like, get Sylvester Stallone.
Stallion.
Sylvester Stallone and Van Damme.
Stallone. So,
Jean-Claude Van Damme ki Van Damme.
oh yeah.
You just contradicted what you were about to say.
Yeah,
What you was about to say.
I know. I'm with the rest of South Africa.
But you've got an example here in Pasta, who is also officer.
Yes.
You know,
But
so
you know, for me, it was so difficult to watch Pops doing that. Like, I found it funny, but I was like, I know this guy. and I know most of the people that were in the scene too. I was like, oh, that's Ntosh. Ntosh is like my Grotman. He's sticking his
what are
tongue
they
out
doing?
to a sexual toolus, you know. You know, Ranaka's stuff.
I mean, but to that, it's also weird because you also get the conversation around, yo, the same old face again.
Open up the industry chat.
Open up the industry chats. And I was like, you know, this is this is the only industry, like you won't go to a doctor's office and go, it's the same doctor.
Yeah.
You know?
Kunini ungikhipha amazinyo.
You know, it's you won't do that. It's like when we ask about good jobs, we reference like people that are good at the jobs.
what they
Like,
do.
Go to that lawyer, go to that baker. You can trust them. They've been doing this for 20 years. But in acting, all of a sudden, we don't want to see this person. But I think part of that is the problem of the industry and the kind of stories we tell.
Yes.
And we also typecast people. It's
Yeah.
like we go, you know, Israel is the gangster. He must be the gangster always.
Yes.
And that doesn't give an actor room to experiment. And,
Yes.
you know, range is only as good as the opportunity that's offered to you. You know, so if I'm not offered the opportunity to explore,
Come on, even
if I'm
Nat is clapping and he doesn't understand English.
yeah. If I'm- you know, so like if Andy hadn't given me the opportunity to play a different kind of gangster, Nunu would have been a different kind of gangster.
Do you feel like this makes South African performers and actors scared to explore, right? Because, you know, you go, because the Jason and Senzo thing kind of rocked everyone for a while, and people were like, didn't want to take roles. I remember I got offered a role on, I almost said Rhythm City. I got offered a role where I had to play a gay character. Rockville. And at the time I was like,
The beat was rocking you.
oh yeah.
You see, the fact that this is funny, it also, the fact that we find this funny also kind of talks to the plight of the acceptance that generally people have on certain type of characters, you know? Like, as accepting as we are, like South Africans like to pretend like we're accepting of everything. Like, media has made us feel like we're accepting of everything. But remember Busiso's character on Generations and how he was reacting towards Jason and Senzo. That was what we felt. Because he was using words and stuff like that like, you know, it's wrong in mainstream media. But that's what people kind of like came out of. That's the teachings that we needed to come out of.
Yes.
To learn how to,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, because what happened with me, right, was when I got offered that role, I didn't take it because of that. Because I knew that my mindset might be here, but the rest of South Africa is still there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bump into people
the
going,
times.
"Hey, Nile," you know, filling the gap. Hey, Nile, Tanda. Nile, Lamza. So because of that, I didn't take the role, right? And I was kind of upset with myself because I'm like, I'm a performer, right? I need to be able to do what's required. Adapt. Hey, episode 21 is where we get cancelled.
No.
Right? And even now with doing Pastor Peter, right? I went all in for Pastor Peter because I'm like, I'm trying to portray a false prophet. I'm trying to show people that this is what you know.
they go to.
It has nothing to do with my faith. It has nothing to do with me making fun of other people's faiths and whatever. I'm just playing a character, right? So do you guys think that South African performers are also still scared of portraying certain characters because of our audience?
Oh yeah, I mean, performers are now curating their lives on social media to fit certain brands, to fit certain images of themselves. Like that work they're constantly working on that. And unfortunately, you curate so much that you become curated yourself. And when you get into a room and you're supposed to be a kind of blank canvas, you struggle to really grapple of the things. And it's a thing we like to call the bag of tricks.
Yeah.
That you refer to your bag of tricks. That thing worked for that thing that I did, so I'm always going to pull from that for the thing that I'm doing next. You underservice yourself as a performer. And again, part of the problem is, certain production companies, certain people in the casting space that think that a particular kind of character needs to look like this.
Like every criminal in South Africa wears a leather jacket.
Exactly,
Dude, I'm serious, dog.
You know how much a leather jacket is?
I could have with the money they robbed.
No, but every criminal on South African television has to wear a black leather jacket and a gold chain.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know, we all know those tropes. It's a languaging, a coding that we've learned to how to understand character and see people. But the exciting thing is when the code is broken, right?
Yes.
So for me personally, I like to do things for myself that contradict the person that you look at. So, like I like to do my nails, but that's because I like to walk into a room and people are confused about Lona Uya.
Lona,
Or Noma, but it's got nothing to do with that. It's like I've been paying for nails for so many years for so many women. I decided that I'm gonna.
Might as well. Might as well.
Might as well. And that was the thing.
No, I can't go, but you can't.
Ngicela favor, inzipho. I wanted to feel now. And I went in there, I was like, this thing is nice. It's nice. And
Soft jaws for soft balls.
Yeah, and then you're sitting there, but also you're hearing stories because women talk also, right? And listening is also part of my crafting of character, understanding of character. I love stories, and I'll always go where stories are. So it's one of those things. But the problem is on both sides. And I think that as actors, if you can't do it in the project you're working on, at least outside